Welcome back. You are listening to the home of forbidden romances. Prepare yourself, because tonight's story will leave you breathless. The porcelain vase shattered against the wall a fraction of a second before the thunderclap shook the penthouse, the sound of destruction swallowed instantly by the storm raging outside. But the silence between the two men standing in the wreckage was loud enough to deafen the gods. North stood with his chest heaving, his knuckles white as he gripped the edge of the mahogany desk, while Johan sat perfectly still in his leather armchair, unblinking, looking at the broken shards of a Ming Dynasty antique with the same disinterest one might show a dead insect. This was the dynamic that had defined the last 6 months of North's life. His fire against Johan's ice, his desperate, chaotic rebellion crashing uselessly against the immovable, terrifying wall of Johan's absolute control. "Are you finished?" Johan asked. His voice was low, a smooth baritone that vibrated in the air, devoid of anger but heavy with authority. He didn't look up from the medical textbook open on his lap, his long, slender fingers turning a page with agonizing slowness. "Because that vase added another 50,000 to your debt. Shall I update the ledger, or would you like to break the lamp next and make it an even 100? North let out a frustrated, strangled sound, half sob and half growl. "I don't care about the money. I don't care about your ledger. I want to go out. It's Friday night. My friends are at the tracks." "Your friends are the reason you have 3 fractured ribs and a debt that your family couldn't pay in 3 lifetimes," Johan said, finally closing the book. The snap of the cover was sharp. He stood up, and the air in the room seemed to thin. Johan was tall, unnaturally so, with a swimmer's build hidden beneath a pristine charcoal turtleneck and black slacks. He moved with the predatory grace of a viper, silent and fluid. "You are not going to the tracks. You are not racing. You are going to sit on that sofa, drink the herbal tonic I prepared, and study for your anatomy exam. I'm not your prisoner, Johan," North shouted, though he took a step back as the taller man approached. "Aren't you?" Johan stopped a foot away, his eyes, dark, intelligent, and terrifyingly cold, locking onto North's defiant glare. "I bought your debt from the syndicate, North. I paid for your tuition. I paid for the surgery that saved your leg after you wrecked your bike. By every law of this world, you belong to me until the last cent is repaid. And I protect my investments." This was the trap, the golden cage. 6 months ago, North had been a star underground racer, a university student drowning in adrenaline and bad loans. Then came the crash, the fire, the loan sharks circling his hospital bed like sharks smelling blood. And then came Johan, the top student of the medical faculty, the heir to a corporate empire, a man known as the god of death on campus for his icy demeanor and surgical precision. Johan had walked in, written a check that silenced the sharks, and simply said, "He comes with me." From enemies to roommates. From debtor to something else. "I hate you," North whispered, though the heat rising in his cheeks betrayed the complexity of the emotion. It wasn't just hate. It was the confusing, suffocating awareness of Johan's scent, sandalwood, antiseptic, and rain, filling his senses. Johan tilted his head, a ghost of a smirk playing on his lips. He reached out, his cool fingers grazing North's jawline, tilting his chin up. "Hate me all you want, North. Just do it from inside the apartment. Now, drink the tonic." The weeks that followed settled into a rhythm that was as intoxicating as it was infuriating. North was a storm of energy, always pushing boundaries, always testing the limits of his confinement. Johan was the anchor. It was a Tuesday when the dynamic shifted, cracking the foundation of their arrangement. North had fallen asleep in the library, exhausted from the grueling study schedule Johan had enforced. When he woke, it was past midnight. The campus was deserted, bathed in the sickly yellow glow of street lamps. He hurried toward the parking lot, his phone buzzing with missed messages from Johan. "Where are you?" "Pick up. I'm coming to get you." North rolled his eyes, typing a quick reply. "I'm fine. Just woke up. Heading B. A hand clamped over his mouth before he could hit send. The smell of stale tobacco and cheap leather filled his nose. Panic flared, hot and bright. North bit down hard, tasting copper, and threw an elbow back, connecting with soft flesh. His attacker grunted, the grip loosening just enough for North to scramble forward. "Get him," a voice hissed from the shadows. 3 men stepped out from behind a van. North recognized them instantly. The Vipers. A rival racing gang he had humiliated on the track a year ago. "Look who it is," the leader, a scarred man named Kiet, sneered, twirling a butterfly knife. "The little prince. Heard you got yourself a sugar daddy. Does he know you're out past curfew?" North backed away, his heart hammering against his ribs. He was fast, but his legs still ached when it rained, a lingering reminder of the crash. He couldn't outrun them. Not tonight. "Back off, Kiet," North growled, assuming a fighting stance despite the trembling in his knees. "You don't want the trouble that comes with touching me." "Oh, I think I do." Kiet lunged. North dodged the first slash, the blade catching the sleeve of his jacket, slicing the fabric. He landed a solid punch on Kiet's jaw, but the other 2 were on him instantly. A heavy boot kicked the back of his knee, and his bad leg buckled. He hit the asphalt hard, gravel digging into his palms. A boot slammed into his ribs, the same ribs that were still healing. North gasped, the air seized from his lungs. "Hold him down," Kiet ordered, crouching over him. "Let's see how pretty he looks with a few new scars." North squeezed his eyes shut, bracing for the pain, his mind screaming one name. Johan. A blinding light flooded the alleyway. Tires screeched, the sound of a high-performance engine roaring like a beast unleashed. A sleek black luxury sedan drifted around the corner with surgical precision, the bumper stopping inches from Kiet's head. The doors didn't open immediately. The engine idled, a low, menacing purr. "Who the hell is that?" one of the lackeys stammered, stepping back. The driver's door opened. Johan stepped out. He didn't look like a savior. He looked like an executioner. He was wearing a long black coat, his glasses glinting in the headlights. He didn't run. He didn't shout. He adjusted his cuffs, shut the car door gently, and walked toward them. "You," Johan said. The volume was conversational, but the tone dropped the temperature of the alley by 10 degrees. "Step away from him." Kiet laughed nervously, brandishing the knife. "Or what, rich boy? You gonna sue me?" Johan didn't pause. He closed the distance in 3 long strides. When Kiet lunged, Johan moved with a speed that blurred the vision. He sidestepped the blade, caught Kiet's wrist, and twisted. The sound of bones snapping echoed off the concrete walls. Kiet screamed, dropping the knife. Johan swept his leg, sending the leader crashing to the ground, and before the other 2 could react, Johan had retrieved a collapsible steel baton from inside his coat. With a flick of his wrist, it extended. He looked at the other 2 men. "Leave, or I will ensure you require feeding tubes for the rest of your natural lives. I am a doctor-to-be, after all. I know exactly where to break you so that you never heal." They ran. They didn't look back, they just scrambled over the fence and vanished into the night. Johan dropped the baton, the cold mask of the god of death, cracking the moment he looked down at North. He fell to his knees, disregarding the oil and dirt staining his tailored trousers. North. His hands, usually so steady, were trembling as they hovered over North's body. "North, look at me." North wheezed, clutching his side. You were tracking my phone." "Of course I was tracking your phone, you idiot," Johan hissed. But there was no venom in it, only raw, unadulterated panic. He scooped North up into his arms, bridal style, as if he weighed nothing. "I told you. You belong to me. That means no one else gets to break you." North rested his head against Johan's chest. He could hear Johan's heart. It was beating frantically. "Johan," North whispered, darkness creeping into the edges of his vision. "You came. I will always come," Johan murmured, his lips pressing briefly, desperately, against North's forehead. "Don't you dare close your eyes." The penthouse was silent, save for the hum of the high-tech medical equipment Johan kept in his private study. He hadn't taken North to the hospital. He didn't trust them. He trusted only his own hands. North lay on the leather couch, his shirt removed, his torso wrapped in fresh bandages. The painkillers Johan had administered were kicking in, making the room feel hazy and soft. Johan sat on the floor beside the couch, his head in his hands. His coat was discarded, his sleeves rolled up to his elbows. There was a smear of North's blood on his cheek. North reached out, his hand heavy, and touched Johan's hair. Johan flinched, then leaned into the touch, letting out a long, shuddering breath. He turned his face, pressing a kiss to North's palm. A gesture so intimate, so submissive, it shattered the image of the tyrant North thought he knew. Why? North asked, his voice raspy. Why do you go this far? It's just a debt, Johan. It's just money. Johan looked up. His eyes were red-rimmed. The mask was gone entirely. You think this is about money? Johan asked, a bitter laugh escaping him. North, I have more money than God. I could have bought a fleet of racers if I wanted investments. I don't want an investment. He stood up, pacing the room, the agitation returning. I saw you, Johan said, his back to North. 2 years ago. Before the debt. Before the crash. I saw you at the orientation. You were laughing with your friends, wearing that ridiculous neon jacket. You looked alive. More alive than anyone I had ever met in this gray, sterile world of mine. North blinked, the drug-induced fog clearing slightly. 2 years ago? But you never spoke to me. You looked right through me. Because I knew. Johan turned, his expression pained. I knew that if I let myself get close to you, I would become obsessed. I am not a good man, North. I am possessive. I am controlling. I knew I would want to lock you away to keep that light from burning out. So I stayed away. He walked back to the couch, looming over North, his hands gripping the cushions on either side of North's head. And then you crashed, Johan whispered, his voice cracking. I heard the call on the emergency scanner. My world stopped. When I saw you in that hospital bed, broken, dying, I didn't care about morality anymore. I didn't care about being a good man. I bought your debt because it was the only way to keep you alive. To keep you close. To make sure you never, ever drove that car again. North stared up at him, the pieces of the puzzle clicking into place. The strict curfews. The forced studying. The tracking apps. It wasn't cruelty. It was terror. Johan was terrified of losing him. You're crazy, North whispered. I know, Johan admitted, leaning down until their noses brushed. I am insane with it. I look at you, and I see the only thing that matters. And tonight, seeing that knife, Johan squeezed his eyes shut. I almost killed him, North. If he had hurt you, I would have killed him. The admission hung in the air, heavy and dark. North looked at the man above him. The tyrant. The savior. The monster who loved him so much he had built a fortress to keep him safe. And North realized, with a jolt that had nothing to do with the painkillers, that he didn't want to leave. The anger he had held onto for 6 months evaporated, replaced by a fierce, burning need that matched the fire in Johan's eyes. Johan, North said softly. Johan opened his eyes. Kiss me. Johan froze. You have a concussion. You're on narcotics. You don't know what you're asking. I know exactly what I'm asking, North challenged, lifting his head slightly, wincing at the pain but ignoring it. You said you bought me. You said I belong to you. Prove it. It was the permission Johan had been waiting for, fighting against, for 2 years. Johan crashed his lips against North's. It wasn't a gentle kiss. It was desperate, hungry, a collision of teeth and tongues and pent-up longing. It tasted of blood and salvation. Johan's hands moved from the cushions to North's body, careful of the ribs but possessive in their grip. He kissed North like a drowning man finding air, like a starving man finding a feast. North tangled his fingers in Johan's hair, pulling him closer, anchoring him. For the first time, he didn't feel trapped. He felt held. Johan pulled back, gasping, his forehead resting against North's. I will never let you go, he swore, the promise dark and absolute. You can hate me, you can fight me, but you are mine, North. Forever. North smiled, a crooked, bruised thing. Shut up, Johan. And kiss me again. The storm outside raged on, thunder shaking the glass walls of the penthouse, but inside, the war was over. The boundaries had been redrawn. It was no longer a prison. It was a kingdom, and for the first time, it had 2 kings. And that is how the viper tamed the wolf, not with chains, but by showing the wolf that the cage was the only place he was truly loved. If you enjoyed seeing Johan lose his absolute composure to protect what was his, destroy that like button. And tell me in the comments, would you forgive a lover who controlled your life if it was the only way to save it? I'll be reading your answers. Subscribe for the next chapter. Until then, prompt image. Prompt, masterpiece, best quality, high-res, 1.2. Korean manhwa style, semi-realistic, digital art, Two men. BL, Yowie, Man 1. Johan, tall, handsome, cold expression, wearing black turtleneck and long coat. Glasses, intense possessive gaze. Dark hair, holding Man 2 gently but firmly. Man 2. North, shorter, messy brown hair, bruised face, bandaged torso. Defiant yet vulnerable expression, looking up at Man 1, wearing unbuttoned shirt falling off shoulders. Background is a dimly lit luxury. Penthouse living room with floor-to-ceiling windows showing a stormy city night. Rain against glass, broken vase on floor, dramatic chiaroscuro lighting, cinematic composition, emotional atmosphere, intricate details.